there's something about how Halloween and the election season are always like back to back. Like there's a darkness to both. We need to separate them out a little bit, don't you think? Maybe move elections into January or something. So, okay, don't write me letters. I don't care. As long as you get your attitude straight, I'm fine with it, all right? But there's a scripture in the Old Testament from the book of Micah that churches often refer to when they're talking about politics and elections and social justice and basically just getting along with each other, which our country could use some help with, right? So the prophet Micah has been around since like the 700s before Christ. And up here on the screen from Micah 6:8, it says, "What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God?" That's a simple statement, right? Except that word require. I know there's just something about that. The Lord requires of us. So let me just look at that a little bit differently. First of all, we teach regularly, I'm pretty sure every Christian church on the planet teaches that we've been given free will. So God does not force us to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with the divine. We have a choice to do that. But the reason that I think require works here well is because as spiritual beings, we can't be anything less. Our Christ nature is doing that all the time. So the question is, will we make room for that to be in us? And why not start right now during the election season? As a matter of fact, we're going to focus on the part of that scripture that talks about that we're called to love kindness. Are you ready for that? To love kindness. What if you just sat around thinking, I love kindness. I just love it so much. It's not usually a phrase that we say, but you might try it. Just meditate on it and see what it brings up for you. So here's how I thought we'd start today. First of all, earlier this week I put a message on my Facebook page. Anybody see it where I said, why do you vote? Yeah. So got lots of answers, and some of them said, I don't vote. But then there's others of you that said, it's my responsibility, it's my duty, it's my privilege. A lot of people fought hard for this right. I want to honor that fight and make sure that I take advantage of it. And also we vote because we want to affect change. If we don't like the way things are, we want to vote someone in who thinks like us. I mean, that's really the crux of it, right? Vote someone in who thinks like us so they can create laws that serve me, that are like-minded, that think the way that I do, that have similar values and beliefs. That's what our voting system is really about. Otherwise, you wouldn't vote. But on the other hand, you can't complain if you don't vote. If you don't like the outcome, then we have to vote in order to make sure that we have at least a 50-50 chance. That's about what it's coming down to these days, of your vote getting honored. Now, it's not allowed for churches, specifically nonprofit organizations, to stand up here and tell you who to vote for. But I'm actually going to do that. I'm not. I'm just kidding. Just want to see if you were listening. Police will be out there waiting to take me away. No, not going to do that. I really don't care. But I want you to think a bit about yourself in the voting process. So, for instance, I vote by mail now. Wow, is that easy? So like that. And it went in a weeks ago. And then you kind of notice how your candidate is doing or how your issues are doing in the polls and what the news is saying about it. And if it looks like we're struggling a little bit, then wow, get online, right? Get onto social media and start trying to change people's minds. Make sure they think like you think. Is that partly what you do? Maybe you get to work and you start arguing with people in the office. You're right. This is how I voted. I'm right. Maybe it's family. Holy cow. Don't you love that when your own family votes different than you do and then you got to just live with them? Yeah, so what happens when you get to that point on voting day and it turns out you lost, your person lost, your issue lost? I mean, are you one of those high-minded people that say, oh, well, better luck next time? Or are you the one that feels some anger kind of burning in you, or regret at least, or maybe even worry about what the outcome is going to be? And maybe you get back on social media and unfriend all those friends that didn't think like you thought. Come on, I know some of you have done it. Maybe you want to complain to anybody who will listen and commiserate with those who think like you do, because they're hurting as well. It's common. Don't feel bad about that. But what about that requirement? That offering from the Lord to love kindness. Wouldn't this be like a perfect time to figure out how to love kindness? And not only that, Jesus talked about this in the book of Luke, chapter 6. He said, if you do good only to those who do good to you, what benefit is that to you? Now, that's kind of weird to insinuate that there's a benefit to doing good to somebody who doesn't do good to you. What could that benefit possibly be? I'd much rather focus on, those who are helping me out. But when somebody tries to take my good from me, or at least get in the way of my good, or maybe harm someone else, the little guy, I've got to do something. I've got to look out for them, right? That's why I vote in the first place. But can you do it without unkindness, no matter how they're behaving? See, this is what Jesus is probably talking about here, is kindness will only really do you good if you do it towards those who are not kind to you. So let's take that into a breath. Are you open and willing to look at that? Because there's some gifts here. We're going to talk about the gifts. But most importantly, when we choose to be kind to those who are not kind to us, this is our chance to open up our consciousness to what Spirit has to say about the whole thing. And if you find yourself feeling upset because you lost an election, or for heaven's sakes, anytime you get upset because someone is doing something that you don't like, if you find yourself getting upset about that, then we've simply forgotten who and what our source is. Now, what I'm about to say in this next couple of minutes is important, because this is the foundational spiritual principle that underlies your ability to be kind when someone is doing something that you don't like. So pay attention, okay? We just finished a series on I am free to prosper, right? So why do we get our undies in a bundle when it appears that somebody's going to change a law that's going to take more money out of my pocket? They're not my source. It seems that we have forgotten who and what our source is, the infinite spiritual energy of God everywhere present, ready to be formed and fashioned into our daily bread. Breathe. That should feel really good right now. If you get upset because you feel like somebody's getting in your way or taking something from you, it just means that you forgot who and what your true power is. One power, one presence in the universe. That power is all good. It's all God. It's working for good. Unless, of course, we want to give somebody the right to do us harm by giving them our attention and worrying about them and complaining about them. I'm not saying put your head in the sand, but work with me here. I think you know what I'm talking about. If you feel upset because they're not doing what you want them to do, then it just means that we forgot that one presence and power that basically makes us one. That they are just as much a part of God as I am. And therefore, what I do to them, I do to myself, which kind of leads us to the point where if we're upset, we've forgotten how the law works, the universal law that says if you wish them harm, if you wish them to lose, basically, if we're dealing with an election, we're wishing that for ourselves as well. That's the way the law works. What we give out, we get back. So there's a lot of forgetting going on here. And ultimately, it means we've forgotten that this opponent of ours, or this person that's irritating us, actually brings us a gift every single time they rub us the wrong way. It's our chance to say, I don't like that. So what would I prefer instead? Ooh, this sounds really good. Let me go over here. Let me talk about this. Let me look at this. Let me dig this up. Let me work on this. This is how we use the universal laws to move forward in a healthy way. And it allows us to be kind because we've got this entire realm of God and goodness and universe behind us with these laws that will allow us to do this. So we can still contact our good if we remember to love kindness first. And it's probably going to show up in some really wonderful ways. Competition will go away. If you can interact with the people that irritate you from kindness, suddenly you will find you have nothing to compete against because you don't wish them harm, because now you wish them kindness. Is this making sense? Competition goes away. We feel that sense of oneness where I can't do anything to you without doing it to myself. And that I'm looking at the face of God, even when I'm struggling. So this is going to help me remember that as we demonstrate kindness, it's going to be easier and easier and easier in those difficult times to not only get along yourself, but to encourage them to get along. Because suddenly their walls will go down. They won't be afraid of you. They won't need to defend themselves. Take a breath, because I know it's not easy. I mean, wouldn't you like to move through this season of election and basically any season of life in peace instead of constantly with your dukes up, having to protect yourself? So as you're tempted to get online or to turn away from a friend because they think differently than you, or maybe a family member, I'm going to ask you first to do a self-assessment. Let me just prepare you. Today's message has a lot of to-dos, a lot of practical application here. So either take notes or listen to it again online later. Look at the slides again online at unityinnaperville.org with the podcast, because there's going to be some good things to focus on. And first of all, the self-assessment is about asking yourself some questions before you reach out and start lambasting somebody for the way they believe or think or vote. We need to ask ourselves some questions. Do I have this up here on the screen? Let's take a look. What's the first one? Why is it important that my opinion be heard? We just like, I gotta say, I gotta tell him, I gotta tell him, I gotta tell him, I gotta tell him. Why? Why is it so important that you tell them what you believe? Do you think that maybe if you talk long enough and loud enough, they'll change their mind? Just ask yourself that. Is that it? And is that really viable? And there's also do I want my values to matter to someone else? Do I really believe that me talking to them for 5 or 10 minutes is going to change their whole structure of what's important to them in life because they heard what's important to you? Or maybe you find that you have to talk to them because you're worried if you don't, you'll lose in some way. Why would you be worried that you're going to lose when God is your source and they have no power over you? Just ask it, okay? Another self-assessment question. Am I willing to go into this conversation and accept that their opinion won't change? I mean, feel free. Of course we can discuss issues. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying notice what your motivation is before you even start. Can you go into this and say what you're going to say and walk away realizing they're not changing their mind and still be okay with that? Can you make the commitment that as you go in, you will be kind no matter what? And if you can't say yes to all of those, your higher self isn't saying, yeah, you're right on with that, then you might just want to skip this conversation for another day until you've got it figured out. But let's say that you got the green light and it's time to go ahead and have a conversation with them. So here's a few suggestions for being kind while you're having this conversation. And one is listen more and talk less. I don't want to do that. What's the point? Might as well stay home. Actually, there are some good things that will come out of that. Listen more, talk less, until they get a chance to really share their point of view. I know you're chomping at the bit to get in there and change their mind, but just listen and invite them to share their point of view with you. Listen, 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 and when you think they've exhausted it, then you say, okay, so did I hear you say, and then repeat back to them what you think you heard them say, and give them a chance to correct it and clarify it for you. Then they're going to really feel like, I've been heard. That feels good. I'm grateful for that. And guess what? Their walls are starting to come down. They're going to be more open to you, not necessarily to change their mind, but at least they're going to be open and listening. And one of the things you might ask them about is, what is it that they value about this issue, the direction that they want this issue to go or this candidate to go? If they're voting for somebody differently than you, ask them why. What is it about that person that you want in office? What do you think they do or bring to make your life better? I would love to hear that. And then listen again to see why they feel that this is important. And it's really important you listen here, because what you want to hear are the things you have in common. They're probably going to say things that are basic human needs that you have too. And when they land on one of those, you go, oh, I like that. I feel good about that too. That's what I want in my life too. Good, okay. So they're sharing what they want, why they want it, how it's going to make their life better. And once you figured out your common ground, then you can say, would you like to hear what I value? And then just check in, be sensitive. Do they really want to? Because if you sense that they're just like going to argue with you again or walk away or whatever, then why waste your breath? I'm just saying. Okay? But at least you give them the opportunity to say yes, and it might even like, bing, oh, I will listen like they listen to me and see what you have to say. And in the end, you may say that we disagree. And yet, what I know for sure is that I want the best for you and for me in this outcome. I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but that's my wish for you, that you and I both get our needs met. So thank you for sharing. See? Isn't that fun? You think you can do that? Okay, hope you take some good notes. From Paul's letter to the Ephesians, up on the screen, he said, make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There's one body and one Spirit, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. Are you starting to hear some opportunities that you could use this practice? It doesn't even have to be about an election. Is it ringing any bells about some person that you could try that with next time that they start pushing your buttons? Okay, now you may run across some people that even through that exercise, they still express themselves unkindly. As a matter of fact, I came across this book, Am I Being Kind? I highly recommend. It's called by Michael Chase, C-H-A-S-E. He actually has a list in here of common traits of unkind people, which of course we don't want to focus on, right? But instead, we want to focus on kind people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you his list, but then I'm going to interrupt them with ideas of what a kind person might look like in contrast to that. I'm going to ask you to be that kind person. I'm going to ask you to affirm these qualities. Are you up for that? All right. So the first quality or trait of an unkind person up here on the screen is that they are extremely defensive and love to argue. So when you see the blue line come up, that's you. Let's say that together. I am non-resistant and have no need to respond. Don't need the last word. Just drawing you a picture of what a kind person looks like. Don't need to have the last word. Okay, here's the next one. They crave approval, unkind people, or they need to be liked by everyone. Now here's who we can be in that case. Together? I'm comfortable in my own skin and allow others to be themselves. Just take that in. Okay, unkind people are ungrateful. So I practice gratitude and look for the good in life. Unkind people are difficult to work with, but kind people, here's how we are. I allow others to shine, and I'm willing to compromise. Unkind people are constantly get offended. Together, I don't take things personally. I assume all mean well. Seriously. All right. Next is unkind people are impatient. Together, I allow others to work at their pace. Unkind people believe they're superior to others. Together, I see all people as equal and deserve good. Unkind people love to gossip. Together, I only speak positively of others. Unkind people only talk about themselves. Together, I show an interest in others' lives. Unkind people take life too seriously. Together, I have a sense of humor. Say, ha! Go ahead. Ha! All right. Unkind people make everything a competition. Together, I allow others their good, even if it slows down my own. Oh, can you handle that? All right. And then the last one, they always need to be right and make others wrong. Together? I'm open to growth, curious of others' opinions, and value others. Good job. Good job. Now, those will be up on the podcast slide, so take a look to write some of those down for you, especially the ones that kind of stung a little bit. Our ultimate goal is to make being kind a habit, a way of life, and that's going to take some practice. There's a few things that we're going to want to learn how to do, and one of them is keep your eyes open. Who needs to experience kindness? in your general direction. Well, okay, thank you, everybody. But in the moment, as you're out and about, do you see someone or know someone who could use some kindness in their life right now? So that's the first thing, is where can I give kindness? Who's in need of it? And when you do it, please be sincere about it. This is not something that you're being forced to do. God is not keeping a checklist. So let it come from the heart. Let it be something that your higher self is seeking to be, instead of feeling obligated to be kind, because they're going to sense that. That's going to do us no good, nobody any good. We also want to realize that when we are giving kindness away, in whatever form that takes, we're not doing it to get something back. It's a selfless attitude where we know, remember those principles we started back with here that said, I already have all my needs met. I always know where to go get my needs met. So I've got plenty to give away. So we can give and not expect to get back in this moment. Feeling kindness is a feeling. And the way that the Buddha described it, up here on the screen, he said, compassion is that which makes the heart of the good move at the pain of others. So keep your heart open, and when you feel someone else's pain, that's a moment to be kind. Also, have you ever given someone a gift and then they forget to say thank you? Not often, but sometimes, once in a while, right? So it wouldn't hurt us to just be mindful of the good that other people are giving out and tell them how good it felt to receive from you, or how good I felt to watch you be kind to that person. It's a chain, right? It's contagious. So keep your eyes open there, and don't forget to say thank you for the good that you're doing in the world. And we also want to make sure that we're presenting thoughts and ideas and energy that is uplifting versus teaching or correcting. It's uplifting. It's an energy of encouragement and support for others that allows them to feel like they're not alone, and that actually they might be able to now turn around and offer that to somebody else. And kindness is also patient. Take a breath, kitty. That means that we are slow to correct someone, and we actually are willing to wait for them to find their better self. We don't have to be the know-it-all. We just give some time for them to find it themselves. There's so many gifts that you can experience when you remember to be kind, not just during an election, but when someone's working against you, or also when somebody just needs it. There are so many gifts that we'll receive. Did you know there's a lot of studies done on kindness in regards to the body and the effect it has on your body when you're kind? Like your blood pressure going down, like your respiratory rate evening out, your heart rate evening out, because you were designed to be kind. The higher self, the perfect body, the one body that's in the mind of God that then became this physical thing, was designed to live kindly. And when you do that, that's your daily vitamins. When we stop being kind, our body starts responding in like kind. It starts to fall off. So the benefit to your body being kind is to make you feel more healthy. It's also something that will not only make you, but the other person feel valued, feel worthy. And when you offer kindness to others, it's an opportunity to get your mind off your own troubles and not necessarily get balled up in somebody else's troubles, but look toward them in a way that says, what is the source within them? What is the highest and best that they can be? Because that's a kindness, that you would take that time to look at them and see them as a spiritual being that already has everything that they need, and that the more we look at that, talk about it, point it out to them, have the faith in them to be able to rise up above this, they will feel that. It will strengthen their faith in their abilities and in the spiritual energy within them to live a better life. So ultimately, what you're doing when you're being kind is you're aligning your lower self with your higher self. You're aligning the ego with the spirit within, and that is when you are open and receptive to divine wisdom, to divine life in the body. That's when you're going to line up with all those infinite channels of good coming your way. You're going to plop yourself right on that path of good, and that stream will just flow through you. As you continue to be kind, you are aligned with God. Somebody write a lyric about that. Continue to be kind, you're aligned with God. Okay, there's something in that rhyming word, I'm just saying. Okay, let me just finish with one story from this book from Michael Chase. His story, actually. He actually has an organization about being kind. So this is a fun one, and not necessarily something you have to do, but just lets you know how it works. It was Monday. It was snowing again. To be honest, I was about to lose my mind. My impatience with Maine winters had finally peaked, as just about every other day we were digging ourselves out of a snowstorm. This was actually the fourth straight Monday that we'd been hit. I think I remember that year. The fourth straight Monday that we'd been hit, and I was sick and tired of it. I had tons of office work to do that morning, and being stuck outside with a snowblower and shovel wasn't inspiring me to be very kind. In reality, I was acting like a complete jerk, and my expletives toward Mother Nature surely had my neighbors wondering, how in the world had he ever become called the kindness guy? To make matters worse, with each pass of the snowblower, it would clog up and stall due to the wall of packed snow the city plow had left me at the end of my driveway. I was wet, I was cold, I was completely infuriated with winter. An hour and a half later, I'd finished the driveway, but I knew my despondent mood would get me nowhere if I didn't make a major shift. I also knew exactly what I needed to do to change my attitude. It was just a matter of making myself do it. Realizing that I'd be no good to myself or anyone else in this state, I went to the front door and I asked my wife for the keys to my truck. Seeing my murky energy, she asked me with concern, "Are you going somewhere?" "Yes," I abruptly replied. "Where?" "I have to go do something before I completely lose it," I said. My wife understood exactly what this meant. After saying goodbye to her, I loaded the snowblower into my truck, grabbed a shovel, and headed into town. And after driving around for about 10 minutes, I saw my first target, a 70-ish looking woman. Put on a white wig, everyone. A 70-ish looking woman who was throwing heavy slush over her shoulder. Without hesitation, I quickly parked the truck on the street, jumped out, willing myself to smile, and cheerfully told the woman, "Good morning, I'm out doing random acts of kindness and would love to clear your driveway for you, for free." At first, she looked at me as if I were green and had antennae coming out of my soggy winter hat. But after telling her that I was from the Kindness Center and it was something we loved to do, her eyes began to sparkle with immense gratitude. She didn't know if it was for real, but she was grinning from ear to ear. And that was all I needed. It only took one look at her beaming face, and I was a goner. She'd killed my bad mood and brought me back to life through heart-to-heart resuscitation. For the next few hours, I was in pure ecstasy as I cleared driveways for complete strangers. Despite being exhausted and frozen to the bone, I was now smiling, laughing, making new friends, and absolutely in love with winter. I was even making plans for the next storm and wondering why I'd ever disliked snow so much in the first place. It's amazing how the things we dislike become pure joy when we're doing the same activity for someone else. Let's take some time in meditation and think about what it is that we can do. Let's just begin by remembering where kindness begins, which is in the heart. So I'll invite you to close your eyes. Imagine where that heart is in your body. Take a breath through your heart. A good deep one. This time when you breathe in through your heart, breathe in love and release power. As you continue to breathe with your thoughts on your heart, allow a doorway to open in your heart. See the beginning of a light shining there. And as the door slowly opens, the light gets brighter As you feel the energy of that light, you notice it has a good feeling to it. A soft feeling. It's a feeling that wants to move through you. The divine spirit seeking to express kindness in you. Knowing that we can only be that which we are for ourselves first. Let's allow this presence of divine kindness to soothe our own soul. Feel that presence of kindness and love scanning through your body, resting on areas of tension or discomfort, and easing any heavy energy there with its love. Just feel that energy of kindness moving through your body, resting in areas of stress, relieving and uplifting your body. Take a moment to do that. Once again, feel that presence of kindness and compassion flowing through your entire body with a soft, uplifting energy. An energy that feels like love. We support that presence as we say, "Thank you, body. I love you too." And now think about what thought has been dominant in your mind lately that feels heavy. Have you been struggling with a worry, a regret, a judgment? What is that one thought that's been getting in your way lately? Holding you down, distracting you? Imagine that soft, loving energy of kindness moving into the realm of your thinking, softening those hard thoughts. Encouraging you with whispers. You are enough, just as you are. You have enough through this loving presence that surrounds you and supports you. world was designed to be kind to you. Look for it. It's everywhere. Feel your guard coming down. Let go of that need to fix or to make someone wrong. As the presence of kindness makes a residence in your mind, and as our thoughts change and our hearts open, willing to be a demonstration of kindness, we relax, knowing that as we choose to love kindness, our good unfolds before us, and we are empowered to be good for others. I love kindness, and kindness loves me. And I look forward to every moment I have to demonstrate that power in the world, letting go and letting love work through me. All is well.